Does fast DDR5 memory matter all too much for PC gaming, or are you better off going with a more moderately priced and spec'd DDR5 kit? Well, we're going to answer that in today's video as we've tested a pretty quick DDR5 memory kit versus its stock settings just to get a gauge of how important XMP and fast memory truly is for DDR5 systems. And to find out how, Patriot sent out their 32GB kit of 7200 mega transfers per second CL36, so it's a pretty quick and low latency kit, and we've tested it in our brand new Intel Core Ultra 9 285K system with an RTX 5070 Ti. By the way, the video is coming out for that sometime soon, so make sure you stay subscribed for that. Anyways, 200S boost is disabled as this memory kit does go over the voltage requirements for that, and we're also testing at 1440p as I feel like this is a fairly representative, that's the word I'm looking for, representative resolution for a PC build like this, and yeah, no one's really going to be playing at 1080p on a graphics card like this. Anyways, as for the 5070 Ti, we've tested using driver version 576.52, see, I've remembered it for once, and we've also enabled resizable bar, and the GPU has been left at its stock out of the box settings. As for the memory, we've tested using XMP speeds, and for the slow RAM, we've just disabled XMP to see how much performance you're truly leaving on the table, and to demonstrate a slow kit of RAM as well. Let's start off in Cyberpunk 2077 on the Ultra preset, and yeah, performance between the two kits of RAM isn't particularly drastic, I'd like to say. This is because we only see a 6% increase with XMP enabled compared to it being disabled, and yeah, the game felt fine on both of these RAM configurations, so there were absolutely zero issues there. Both the frame times are looking pretty decent across both of them. You just get a slight performance bump with XMP enabled. Enabling ray tracing though in Cyberpunk sees, well, basically the same story. The average frame rate goes up by 5% here, so it's a smaller increase in performance, and the 1% lows also increased by like 5 FPS, so the frame time is still looking pretty decent, but yet again, it's slightly better with XMP enabled. Things barely budge in Oblivion Remastered, especially with the average frame rate, as it only went up by 1 FPS, but the 1% lows went up by 4. Could you probably perceive the extra smoothness? I'm not too sure about that one. Yet again, it's just like Cyberpunk, not really that much changes between both the two RAM kits, and in fact, this time to a lesser extent. Assassin's Creed Shadows doesn't care whether you've got XMP enabled or disabled, as performance is exactly the same for both the averages and the 1% lows, no matter whether you've got it enabled or not. So yeah, it's kind of a boring result here, like nothing has changed, literally. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 sees a slight performance advantage with XMP enabled, nothing to write home about though, because the average frame rate only goes up by like 3 frames per second, and the 1% low only goes up by 3 again, so literally not much has changed here. You can't tell the difference between these two. Where we start to see something interesting, however, is Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Yes, the average frame rate only goes up by an extra 2 frames per second, which is a 2% increase, but very interestingly, the 1% lows go up by 10 frames per second with XMP enabled. Now, this is quite a big improvement, and it makes the game quite a bit smoother, especially as Star Wars Jedi Survivor is particularly not very good with its frame time, so any performance increase here is a nice to see. So overall, fast RAM compared to non-XMP speeds doesn't really net you all too much performance in AAA games, whether ray tracing is enabled or disabled. The highest performance increase we saw with the average frame rate was with Cyberpunk, where that went up by 6%, which is not the biggest margin, but it's definitely outside margin of error, so there is that. However, for the rest of the games, it just doesn't really make too much of a difference, at least with the average frame rate. Because when we look at the 1% lows, yet again for the most part, they barely budge. But when we look at Jedi Survivor, we get an extra 10 frames per second when we enable XMP on this kit, so yeah, that's kind of a big improvement to the frame time, especially in a game where the frame time performance isn't particularly brilliant at the best of times. Switching up to some competitive games to make a more CPU-bound scenario, and yeah, this is where XMP starts to come in clutch quite a bit. Yes, the average frame rate, yet again, doesn't really go up too much in Fortnite, But where we need to look here is the 1% lows. They are looking so much better with XMP enabled, as you're getting an increase of 64 FPS here. Now, this matters quite a lot, as this means the frame consistency is a lot smoother, and you're definitely going to want that when you're playing competitively. We see a very slight performance increase in Counter-Strike 2, nothing to write home about, just like the rest of the AAA games. So is this particularly a make or break scenario? Probably not. The 1% low performance can be attributed to an Intel CPU, as this is also something we saw on the 13700K, but it feels smooth enough to play, and it's not jumping all over the place, which is the important thing. It's not as bad as what it seems, if that makes sense. Just like I thought getting into this video, fast RAM makes more of a difference for more competitive based games, and this is because we're going to be a bit more CPU bound in these titles. Like, if we look at the average frame rate, it doesn't budge all too much yet again. It's a 5% increase in both Counter-Strike and Fortnite. But when we look at the 1% low performance of Fortnite in particular, yeah, this is where we see quite a huge performance delta, because with the speedier memory, we see a performance uplift of around 64 FPS for the 1% low. This translates to the smoothness of the frame delivery, which is ever so important if you're playing a competitive game, because the average frame rate, yeah, it does matter, but how smooth that frame rate is matters a whole lot more, especially if you're playing in tournaments and especially playing for money as well. So if you were a competitive gamer, getting some speedy memory might be kind of important for you. So which DDR5 memory you should get totally hinges on what type of gamer you are. If you're more into AAA games where you're going to be more GPU bound, especially at high resolutions like 1440p or maybe even 4K, you don't need the fastest memory in the world. You'd be perfectly fine with something that's like 6,000 mega transfers per second CL30. I suspect this will perform perfectly fine for most gamers, and in fact that's the type of gamer that I am, and my memory is like 5600 mega transfers CL46. Admittedly, it is a high capacity kit as I need it for video editing. But yeah, without getting sidetracked too much, from the results that we've gathered today, at least with an Intel based system, high speed memory isn't the end all and be all, especially for when you're more GPU bound. But where it matters though is competitive gaming. As we saw from the 1% lows in Fortnite, a speedy kit of memory will help you out quite a bit, and like I said, if you're playing in tournaments or even for money, you're going to want the most performance possible, where yeah, high speed memory is going to help you out with that, because you're going to be more CPU bound, and this is where this comes into the equation a bit more. But another thing you need to keep in mind with high speed memory like this is you're going to be at the mercy of your CPU's memory controller. Depending on the silicon lottery, your CPU might not even be able to run high speeds like 7200 mega transfers per second, but the general rule of thumb is Arrow Lake CPUs like the 285K should be able to handle 7200 mega transfers per second perfectly fine, along with Zen 5 from AMD, so that's a 9000 series. So yeah, if you were worried about it, you should be okay with these speeds. But for outside of gaming, yeah, it can vary depending on your workload, but one thing I can say is with XMP enabled, Windows felt a lot snappier, I'd like to say. I'm not sure if this is placebo or not, but it's just something I saw, so I guess it's right to share it with you lot. But anyways, the general Windows experience of like going into Chrome and File Explorer and that sort of stuff felt quite a bit better when XMP was enabled. So a big thank you to Patriot for sending out these memory kits, and they also sent out another 32 gig kit and 64 gig, so we will be testing that in a video coming up very soon, so make sure you stay subscribed for that one. Anyways, if you want to see how the RTX 5070 Ti gets on by itself, you can watch in a video up here. With that being said, I'll catch you in the next one.